Willard Carroll Smith Jr. was born in West Philadelphia in 1968, the second of 4 children in a home that was equal parts love and volatility. His father, Willard Sr., was a man of discipline, a military veteran who believed in structure and hard work. But with that structure came violence. Will later recalled moments where he watched his father physically abuse his mother, vivid, traumatic memories that would later become the root of many of his deepest emotional wounds. As a kid, Will discovered something profound. Making people laugh could diffuse tension. In a house where silence often meant something was about to go wrong, humor became his shield. His classmates nicknamed him Prince because of his smooth charm, always smiling, always joking. But behind the charisma was a boy desperately trying to control the chaos around him by becoming what everyone needed. In his teenage years, Smith teamed up with Jeff Towns, aka DJ Jazzy Jeff. Together, they created a sound that was playful, clean, and wildly infectious. Their breakout hit, Parents Just Don't Understand, wasn't just catchy, it was revolutionary. In 1989, they won the first ever Grammy Award for a rap performance. Will Smith, at just 20 years old, became a global name. But early success came with early mistakes. Will, high off his fame, failed to pay his taxes and the IRS came calling. Suddenly, the money, the lifestyle, and the dream all disappeared. He was broke, he was embarrassed, and he was desperate. Then fate intervened in the form of Quincy Jones. It's easy to forget now, but when The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air was first pitched, Will Smith wasn't an actor. He was a rapper. And a broke one at that. After blowing through millions and ending up with the IRS knocking on his door, Will found himself in desperate need of a reset. That reset came, almost out of nowhere, through a chance introduction to music legend Quincy Jones. Jones had a vision, and he didn't need acting school or auditions to know that Will had it. Within a single afternoon, Will had the role and a show was in motion. But The Fresh Prince was never just a sitcom. It was a cultural touchstone. A story about a kid from the inner city adjusting to life in the affluent, mostly white world of Bel-Air. At its core, it was about code switching, belonging, and identity. Themes that millions of Black Americans related to but rarely saw reflected on screen with such heart and humor. Will didn't just play the character. He was the character. Many of the lines, the jokes, even the emotional arcs were pulled straight from his own life. The writers gave him room to explore his natural comedic timing, his charisma, and his raw vulnerability. And it showed. Episodes that began with slapstick laughs often ended with emotional gut punches. One week it was a promposal gone wrong. The next it was about gun violence, racial profiling, or absentee fathers. And then there was that scene. The one every fan remembers. The one where Will's father shows up after years of absence, only to leave again. In that moment, when Will shouts, "How come he don't want me, man?" There was no script. That was real pain. That was years of buried emotion surfacing in front of millions. And the world felt it. That scene didn't just make great television, it made history. Through The Fresh Prince, Will didn't just revive his career. He found his voice, a voice that could make people laugh, cry, and think, sometimes all at once. The show turned him from a one-hit rap wonder into a household name. But more than that, it gave him a second chance at life. A new identity, born not out of success, but out of the ashes of failure. And Will ran with it, all the way to Hollywood. By the mid-90s, Will Smith had transformed from a TV sitcom sensation into something far more elusive, a bona fide movie star. But this wasn't just a lucky pivot. It was a calculated, strategic leap, designed with almost surgical precision. Will wasn't satisfied with being successful. He wanted to dominate. And so, he did what few actors had done before him. He studied the industry like it was a science. He once famously said he read a list of the top 10 highest-grossing films of all time and reverse-engineered their success. What did they have in common? Aliens, action, special effects, a dose of humor. So when Independence Day came knocking in 1996, Will knew exactly what it was, a launching pad. The film earned over $800 million worldwide, and more importantly, it proved that Will Smith could carry a movie on his own. A year later, Men in Black sealed the deal. Suited up in black with a neuralizer in hand and a one-liner on his lips, he became the face of late 90s cinema. The film was stylish, funny, and action-packed. But most importantly, it was anchored by Smith's effortless charm. He wasn't just acting, he was owning the screen. Audiences didn't just watch his movies, they showed up for him. But Will wasn't chasing fame for ego, at least not entirely. He was chasing control. His childhood had been filled with unpredictability, sudden bursts of anger, financial instability, fear. So now, as an adult, he craved environments he could shape. On set, he became known not just as a leading man, but as a collaborator who showed up early, stayed late, and demanded excellence from everyone, including himself. And while others dipped in and out of genres, Will stayed in the sweet spot, high-concept action films with heart. Whether he was dodging killer robots in I, Robot, surviving alone in a post-apocalyptic world in I Am Legend, or transforming into Muhammad Ali with stunning physical and emotional accuracy, he chose roles that balanced spectacle with soul. These weren't just blockbusters, they were vehicles for his evolving identity. But there was something more subtle at play. In each of these films, Will often played the same type of character, the reluctant hero, the underdog who rises, the man who shoulders the world's problems alone. These roles weren't random, they mirrored his own journey, always pushing forward, always carrying more than anyone knew. And for nearly 2 decades, the formula worked. He became one of the most bankable stars in the world. Studios didn't just cast Will Smith, they bet on him. Because they knew, if Will was in it, audiences would come. Every time. But this relentless rise came with a quiet cost. One that would only surface when the spotlight burned too bright and the mask of control began to crack. But being seen comes at a cost. Will built his life on image, the perfect dad, the devoted husband, the man who could do it all. But inside, he was burning out. His marriage to actress Jada Pinkett Smith was often in the headlines, not for romance, but for controversy. Their openness about unconventional relationship dynamics led to endless speculation. When Jada's entanglement with singer August Alsina went public, Will became the subject of ridicule, memes, talk shows, late-night jokes. That infamous Red Table Talk interview? Painful, raw, real. You could see it on his face, a man trying to hold it together while his world cracked in public view. Then came the challenges of fatherhood. Willow Smith, at just 10 years old, had a #1 hit with Whip My Hair. But when she wanted to quit her tour, Will, caught up in the machine of success, pushed back. It led to a powerful confrontation where Willow shaved her head in defiance. That moment changed Will. He realized that his idea of love, providing, protecting, controlling, wasn't always the love his children needed. March 27, 2022. The Academy Awards. Chris Rock makes a joke about Jada. Will laughs at first, then sees Jada's reaction. What followed was one of the most shocking moments in live TV history. Will walked on stage and slapped Chris Rock across the face. The room went silent. Millions watched in disbelief. And moments later, Will won Best Actor for King Richard. But the victory felt hollow. The industry turned. Fans were divided. Overnight, the man who had spent his entire life building a perfect image watched it collapse. After the Oscars incident, Will vanished from the public eye. No interviews, no red carpets, just silence. It wasn't just damage control, it was soul-searching. In his memoir, Will, he peeled back every layer. He wrote about his fear, his need to be seen as the good guy, his childhood, his failures, his shame. In interviews, he began to speak not as a celebrity, but as a man learning, at long last, that perfection is a lie, that vulnerability is power, that scars don't make you weak, they make you honest. And slowly, the world began to see Will again. Not the movie star, but the human. Today, Will Smith is no longer running. He's not trying to be the best, the funniest, or the most beloved. He's trying to be real. He's trying to heal. He's building bridges with his family, with his past, and with the world. In one interview, he said, "You can't protect your family by being the strongest. You protect them by being the most honest." That's the lesson he's living now. And that's what makes Will Smith's story more than just a Hollywood tale. It's a human one. A story of trauma, triumph, mistakes, and meaning. If this story moved you, inspired you, or challenged you, don't leave just yet. Give the video a like, hit that subscribe button, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next deep dive. And if you want more behind-the-scenes stories about icons like Will, or raw explorations into the human side of fame, check out the playlist linked right here. As always, all socials and extra content are in the description below. Until next time, stay curious, stay open, and remember, every legend has a backstory.